Today we are standing in front of the Piscina del Arena for round 2 of bait battles. Yeah, we're gonna do it again. So, concept behind this, if you guys missed the first one, you guys loved the first one. But if you missed the first one, what we do is we take baits that are alike or knockoffs. They look pretty much exactly the same, you know, because there's a lot of that in fishing. And we put them in the Piscina del Arena. That's Spanish for pool. And we put them underwater and we test them and we see, how do they behave? Is the knockoff better? Is the clone better than the original? Is the original better? What makes them different? What are the prices? All that shenanigans. And today we're gonna do a classic. You guys like Worm Squirmersons? We got Senkos, we got a Gambler Ace. I absolutely kill it on a Gambler Ace. I rarely throw a Senko, but I know a lot of you guys do. So we're gonna test both of those in the Piscina del Arena on today's Bait Battles. The conclusion of bait battles, the WWF of the fishing industry. Actually, okay, so let's get on task. Conclusions. Okay, this is a tale as old as time. Like, I think that's in like an Aladdin movie. A tale as old as time. No, it's Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast.
And you know what? Maybe this is kind of a perfect analogy. Maybe it is Beauty and the Beast. You know, everybody makes a stick bait. Gambler, Ace, and then the original, the Senko, dude. And I'm sure there was one before that because that's the way all this stuff works in the fishing industry. Somebody made something in a garage, they caught some fish on it, they made a mold, they built a bunch, and then somebody's like, oh, that's really cool. Let me make 1,000 of them and sell them to everybody. So that's the way fishing stuff works. So what we found with the underwater stuff with these two, we tested a Gambler Ace 5-inch stick bait. We tested a standard Senko 5-inch stick bait. Equivalent. Tested on 3 different rigs. Our baseline was a classic Wacky Rig, just a little circle hook. We hooked them both in the same place, right around the worm sack on the back end, which is where I normally hook my Wacky Rigs. Texas rig, O'Shaughnessy hook, fluorocarbon, I think it was a 5/16, same setup on both of them. And then we also took that Wacky Rig and we popped a Demiki Neko Rig weight in there. I think it was an 1/8 ounce. We used the same weight on both, did all those tests underwater to see what we found. And to be honest with you, I wasn't surprised at what we saw. And I kind of knew this because I use these baits a lot, both of them, and I play with both. So number one, the Senko is freaking expensive. Like, let's just be flat out. I think it's like $7.99, $8.99 on Tackle Warehouse. The Ace comes in around $5.99, $5.69, depending on where you find it. So there's definitely a price difference of a couple dollars. The Senko definitely has more salt content. It's more weighted. The plastisol has more salt mixed in. We saw that when we tested the weightless Wacky Rig. The Senko would sink at a faster kind of rate of fall than that Ace. The Ace was much, much slower to sink. The other factor, that salt also adds a sort of, I guess you call it like a wobbling. It gets this sort of like twin shake to it, the Tennessee 2 shake, maybe JT calls it. But that Senko has this sort of waving as you sink it down weightless without any tension on the line. It has just this interesting, unique fall. It's always had that. The Gambler on the other side, it fell slower and would every once in a while do that wobble gobble kind of deal, but it wasn't consistent. So when we put it on the Texas rig, interestingly enough, we saw kind of the same thing, but in a different way. The Senko on the Texas rig, they look the same, they dance the same, right? It's a pointed tip, it kind of dances around, you pop it, it jumps up, it glides down, it does like a little twitching kind of deal. But when it actually hits the bottom and settles, the Senko would just go, you know, ass down real quick, dude. That butt would just freaking sink. It'd lay flat on the bottom. It was done. The Gambler would actually slowly kind of fall to the bottom. And I've known this a lot because I actually use that Gambler Ace on my magnet rigs. I cut them in half and put it on so that tail actually floats up a little bit. Plastisol is just a little different composition, making it a little more, it's not a floating lure, but it's more floaty. So depending on your needs, and that's something we can analyze, if you're looking for a super slow fall rate with a Wacky Rig, might want to go with the Gambler. If you're throwing it weightless though, and you're just trying to skip docks and do that sort of that shimmy down kind of thing, probably gonna go with the Senko. If you're throwing it on Carolina rig, you want the bait to stay somewhat elevated or fall slower, probably want to go with the Gambler. If you want it to stay flat on the bottom and you're trying to shake it on the bottom, these fish are eating off the bottom, maybe there's crawfish on the bottom or something, you're gonna want to go with the Senko. The other thing that we noticed, and it's sort of a I don't know, connects to the same concept on the Neko rig, that Senko would just lay down, dude. It would shake really nice. Both of them had a nice Wacky Rig kind of flex to them, but the Gambler would stand up a little bit longer and float, like the tail would seem to like float up a little bit more, whereas the Senko would just go ahead and lay down to the bottom. That's probably the main difference that I found between the two, other than price point. Price point's a little bit different. You know, the aces are cheaper, but count-wise, there's only 8 in an ace pack, whereas there's 10 in the Senko pack, but you are paying more. So the other big difference is the Senko, and this isn't even based on the underwater experience. This is personal experience. I'm sure you guys have had the same. The Senko rips up a lot easier, dude. You get 1 to 3 fish, 1 to 2 fish, and it's chopped up and done. It's a very delicate bait, but that's also what adds to that sort of that waving, sort of shaking action that you get as it sinks. It's an ultra finesse bait, great on a weightless rig, but definitely tears up pretty darn quick. So actually in this situation, you know, you have the OG, the Senko, you have kind of a knockoff or a reproduction, which there's a million of them. You know, we didn't test the Yum, we didn't test the Strike King, there's a million. I just grabbed 2 to kind of show you some differences, but there's definitely some pros and cons, whereas one actually might fit in a situation better than another, depending on the rig and the specific technique you're actually trying to perform. Hope you guys enjoyed this though. Bait battles has been an absolute success, and I actually really like doing it because I like testing these baits, seeing what they look like in the Piscina de la Reina. Getting good at this, bro. We'll put links to all this stuff down in the description box at Tackle Warehouse and Monster Bass for you guys to go check out if you want to grab a few, see what colors they have, as well as the terminal tackle we use, the circle hook, the line, the Neko weight, the O'Shaughnessy hook, all that shenanigans. And now, I want your feedback down below. Go ahead and tell me if there's other baits that you think we should be testing, what knockoffs, what comparison baits are they, and also if you guys have any further information when it comes to stick baits comparisons compared to the OG, the Senko, or compared to all the new kind of like secondary duplicates, copies, and variations that are out there. I want to see that down in the comments box. Hit that like and subscribe button for me. Bait Battles is over for now. Bait Battles with Bog, the Pitbull. I guess it's better than dog fights. You wouldn't want to do that, George. You weren't. Bog wasn't made for a dog fight. He's like, hello, will you be my friend? Okay, ready? Here's the test. They both work. They both catch fish. Video's over.